everyone. My name is Tania Hira, and I whakatausu ngā puhi and te rarawa around Hokianga. So one of my marae is Hokohuia, and I work at Tauranga Aotearoa, so Statistics New Zealand, and just here to help explain with Māoputama Mata Whenua. So thank you.
Kia ora e hoa. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is just have a quick look at the Māoputama Whenua Mata Whenua series. For those of you who are just joining us, it's a program of monthly online mapping wānanga to help you learn how to map your own whenua yourself, tell your own stories yourselves, and these are intended to be interactive, so a bit of back and forth sometimes. We specifically tailored these wānanga towards the needs of those working for iwi, for Māori trusts, and for environmental groups, because there's a lot of overlap between those two as well. There's no software needed. There's no expectation that you know how to do GIS. We're all here to learn, and hopefully there's something for everyone in this session today. A short URL called hae.re, so haere/weather. And if you go onto there, you'll be able to see a web page, a Google Doc, that has got a couple of apps and things on there. Goodbye. Okay, so here's that link again, haere/weather. And what we're going to be doing today is building on last week, where we had a look at a number of applications that were already prepared and using data and imagery. So you saw those down here, further down. But what we're going to look at today is just the top parts. So I'm going to take us through a few pieces, and then I'm going to hand over to Tania. So if I just take this one, what I want to do is just show you where we're going to aim for, and then I'm going to show you how I created it. In fact, I will show you this final result one as well. So this is what we're going to do today, is something that you can do even with minimal GIS experience by taking a copy of this video and just following the steps. So it's very repeatable, and all you have to be is confident to click, give it a go. You can't break things. So just confirming, you can see this map of Porangahau on screen. Cool. Right. So this is the final result. This is the map I want to share with friends, whānau, trust, others, to respond to an extreme weather event, or in this case, the big pink area you can see is the result of an earthquake. The shaking intensity of a recent earthquake. There was a couple around this area. What I've got here is some Māori land blocks as well, and all of the marae from TPK. And I can turn on and off layers and imagery. So I've got some very recent imagery in here from Toiti Te Whenua, Gisborne, aerial photo rural, I think that one we're seeing at the moment. But I've also got some other layers as well that turn on as we zoom in. If we go and have a very quick look at Wairoa, you'll see we can zoom all the way down, and new data and layers are coming on there. Okay, so that's where we're going to aim for. So we may want to work out for an area what's affected, what's there, and so what we're going to do is look at how do we create this type of map yourself. This is the final result. Just before, and I made that one just before lunch today, just before lunchtime. Just before that, we have the basic map. So if you're familiar with Word documents and PDF, this is kind of the Word document equivalent, where we've copy-pasted stuff in, and then we've generated the PDF, which is this kind of slightly more polished viewer. And in here, we have a series of layers. We may not add all of these layers back in, but that map is there on that document for you to have a bit of a tutu with. And if you want to, you should be able to have a tutu and save as over on the left here, and save it into your own account if you have an ArcGIS Online account. So what I'll do is I'll leave those there. You've got access to them. And what I'm going to do is step you through how to create a map like that for yourself, for your own area. Okay, so I'm just going to sign into ArcGIS Online. So I've gone to arcgis.com, and I already have set up created an account, a personal account. So it's free. Like Esri call it a public account, as in a member of the public, but it's a personal account. It's just mine. And then I chose to share those two items with you, those maps. Okay, so I'm just waiting for it to sign in. And you'll be able to see here, there is the published map, or the PDF, the produced application. That's this one here. See, with the kind of, it's quite nice looking. It's got, you know, buttons and things. And here is the original web map that I created. And that's this one here, kind of the Word document, a bit more rough looking, not quite as slick as the other one, has a lot more buttons and features, editing, all that stuff. So let's go. Let's create a new map. So I'm going to go map. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use data from all over the place. I'm not going to store any of it in my account, because any data that I store in my account or my desktop, I have to maintain it, update it. It's taking up space. I could lose my laptop. So I really like using this private Esri hosted mapping interface. So first thing, I'm going to come back to our extreme weather links page. And in here, I've got a couple of links to the LINS data service that I'm going to use to add into my map. So rather than download, and I'll show you why I won't want to download, if I go copy this and paste over here. So the LINS data service allows us to, if I just go back here, there are heaps of data sets in here, heaps, hundreds, thousands, 2,500. But not all of them are of interest to me, only probably about 50. And even the ones that are there, I don't want to have to download them. So for example, if we just go back to this one, which is the link, or even if I just paste the link in there. All I've done is copy that link and paste it. And here I can see this is 5-meter resolution satellite imagery captured on 21st of February. So remember, the big cyclone was around about 14th of February, a few days after. So it's telling you information about the satellite that was used to capture it and the resolution. So spatial resolution is 50 centimeters, which is about, yay, per pixel. So I could download it, but that would be 45 gigabytes and come back in 2 or 3 hours and it'd be ready to use. Then I wouldn't be able to share it with you either. So what I do instead is I use what's called a web service. So I sign in, create a free account with the LINS data service, or their provider, which is called Coordinates. And I come down here and I want one very specific thing, and that is this WMTS layer, Web Map Tile Service. I don't need to know anything other than that's where I want that link from, and that's what I need. Then I come back to my map and I go add link from URL. And where did my URL go? Here it comes. So then I paste that one in here. So this is quite literally how I built that map that you now have access to in that web map, in that Google Doc. So if I go add, there's my imagery, add to map. So I had a blank map and now I've got a layer there. I go back to this one and I go, actually I want some more data there. How about just before? I think this one is just before. Let's have a look at this one. So I just paste that in there. This one's just after as well. This is some more detailed imagery. So let's go to have a look here. This is what it's telling me it's about. Here's a preview. I can go down here and I can see, okay, I'm interested in Wairua. I can zoom all the way down in this map service without even having to go anywhere. But what I want to do is I want to add this. I want to grab the web service because I don't want to download this. This one is 72 gigabytes, so there's no point in me taking a copy of that and then having to host it and pay for it. I'm going to put it in my web map. I'm going to go add layer from URL because I know exactly where this data is going to come from. And I go next, add to map. And you can see there is my 2 data layers added now to my map, 1 and 2. And I can turn them both off or on. The other thing to keep in mind is the order that you have your layers. So if I have that one underneath, you can't see it until I turn that one off. So generally, you start your maps with points at the top, then line features, then areas, land blocks, polygons, and then imagery in that kind of order. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this. Go and save as Ngā Poutamama Whenua map example 2. And I'm going to go save. I can put more information there if I want, but I'm terrible at filling in metadata. That's where the metadata fields are. So now I can share this with you. I go share, everyone public, save, and I go copy there, put this in the chat, and you'll be able to open that on your side if you want to. Okay, so let's carry on adding another couple of layers in here. So we've got this layer here. I'm going to copy this. So there's kind of a couple of steps here. First, you need the source data, where you're going to get it from. You go to the source, which is here. And these are some ones up the Tairāwhiti, up the towards let's come out a bit more towards Ruatoria. And you can see when I zoom in here we've got Waipu. I can zoom down here as well. So same thing again, I don't want to have to download this. It's 47 gigabytes, which will take forever. And then where am I going to put it? Because I'm running out of space. I go here, and I grab that link and paste it into my map. So just on this, any imagery that you get from anywhere, from any regional council, district council, city council, government, being LINZ, Stats, MB, whoever, ask them for a web map service, web map tile service, rather than getting it on a disk, because then you've got to put it somewhere, you've got to store it, you've got to serve it up, and it's just a lot of mahi that you don't necessarily want to do. So let's paste this one on here. Add it to map. And you can see there's my imagery come. If I press save, and down here you see this green line coming along. Once that's done, if you press refresh on yours, you'll see that there's a new layer added there. So now we have some base imagery. We've got some here for Taupo as well, because there was quite a massive devastation in this area here. Forest pretty much flattened. So there's our base imagery. If we come back and have a quick look at that map, this one here, we've done, I've got 4 in there, but we've done 3. Well, no, I've done 3, those same 3. 1, 2, 3. Let's go and have a look at adding some more relevant data of interest to us. So we go add, and rather than searching in my content, I'm going to search in the whole ArcGIS online system. So everyone on the earth who shares information publicly, they make it available for others. And some examples that we'll use here is we're going to look for marae. So there are lots of people that share marae. So you can see here Waipa District, Hawke's Bay Regional Council, Gisborne District, Canterbury, students, you name it. There's all kinds of ones here, but the one I'm going to look for is I'm going to look for an authoritative source. So TPK, I know is they've got the data, they're going to maintain it more likely than others. So I'm going to go add. And now here's all the marae. And when I click on one of the marae, we can see Te Renga, and we've got location, we've got iwi, Ngāti Karanunu, Te Wairoa, iwi and hapu. It's a tribal type of marae because there's also urban marae, the rest of it. Okay, so there's marae. And what else we want? Some land blocks. And maybe if someone is from this, if you're Ropus in this area, just give me a shout on the chat and we can have a look at focusing on that area, for example. So let's say, rather than land blocks, let's go Māori land and see what is out there. Māori land from Canterbury maps, Māori land blocks from TPK maps. So that's the one I'm after again, TPK, because I know they have a small GIS team, they're maintaining the data, and it's done something interesting because there is information in Chatham, how do you call it out there? So there's some land blocks out here as well. So just the way GIS works, because it's flat and square, and instead of wrapping around, it kind of goes onto the other side, but we can come back over here. So now we have some Māori land, all the Māori land blocks on here. And if we zoom down here and we click on one, Nuhaka, okay, we'll go there next. You can see here for that block that I clicked on, all of this information is public information. It has information about the block, the management structure, so it's managed by Paukawa 13B Whenua Trust. And if I click on this link here, view, it will actually take me to Māori Land Online at the Māori Land Court and give me more information, such as administrators and title owners and all kinds of information. So this is all public record, so anybody can see this. So I'll just close that. And now if I just press save again, I'm quite old school. I press save too many times because I got burnt from Windows 95 crashing all the time. But if you refresh your map now, it will have those new layers in there. And let's see, what else were we going to put in there? We've got marae, land blocks, earthquakes. Okay, because that's right, it's disaster time. So we come to our map and we go, actually, I want, there's earthquakes. I want to see if there's any earthquakes on the coast. Recent earthquakes, Esri. So Esri is the provider of ArcGIS. It's kind of like Microsoft Office. We're using ArcGIS of Esri platform. So all of these are earthquakes, recent earthquakes, not all of the earthquakes. There's, for example, there's a global archive of earthquakes, which I don't want at the moment because it'll just come up with red dots everywhere. But Nuhaka, up here, if I go, it has a weird place that has a search. Here it is, search. Nuhaka. And I look at the results. Sometimes they'll be in other countries as well because it's a global platform. So I just go Nuhaka. Here we go. So I can come down here and I can have a look at if there's been any earthquakes recently. Doesn't look like much there lately. We got all our marae at the orange dots. So we might have to come back to Parangaho. You can see there's a couple out there. one off the coast. This one's interesting because it was quite a strong one, and it has the shaking, the areas that are more than likely affected by shaking. And that's what that pink blob represents. So over time, as new earthquakes come, old ones fall off and it updates. So it's always up to date. But if you want historical ones, you have to go into somewhere like this. So I'll just press save there, just so that it refreshes on your side. Let's see, we've got earthquakes now. What else do we want? Tsunami zones, tsunami evacuation zones. Let's add those. So if we come up here and go tsunami, there is a layer I'm looking for that might be a bit hard to find, but I know that NEMA have captured all of the tsunami evacuation zones throughout Aotearoa and put them into one layer. But while I'm at it, I want to grab this one here as well, which is in the other map, because it kind of looks cool, interesting. You know, this kind of wave energy from when a tsunami has historically come from Chile or from, you know, those of you remember the Japan tsunami about 10, 12 years ago. So what I'm looking for here is New Zealand specific. So I can turn on over here, show only map content within the map area that I'm looking at. Turn that off again. Keep coming down, and I know that, here we go, NEMA.nz, Aotearoa Tsunami Evac Zones. That's the one I'm after. So I just add that to my map. It's combined, so they've done us a great favor of combining all of those data sets from the different areas. So I can see at Porongaho, there is an evac zone which tells me that it's more than likely fairly flat in this area. So let's come back to our sample map. What else did we have in there? We've got that, we've got that. Oh, we want buildings. So also in here we can go, and I know that Lynn's put this building data set out there. And for those of you interested in all the other data sets you can get, there is a short URL, and I'll just put it in here for you, haere/kite. And in that document, there's all kinds of links to data sets like what we're looking at now. Lynn's New Zealand building outlines, add those. And that is from aerial photography. They've used AI to go through and capture the footprints or the outlines of all the buildings through all of Aotearoa. Let's have a look at what's in our map now. I'm just going to close this add layer. So all we've done so far is we've added data from Lynn's data service, and then we've used the built-in ArcGIS search environment for all the data that everyone else has made available public, and added that to our map. So now I'll just press save. So if you refresh your side, you'll see it looks the same as this, just when that little green line goes. But we have a couple of issues here. We've got if you remember, we were talking about points, lines, polygons, imagery. We've got some polygons above our points, so we can't see the marae, for example, even though they're turned on. So I'm going to drag those up the top. And land blocks, I want up there. Building outlines, I'm going to put them above land blocks because these are building outlines. If I come down here, you'll see what I mean. They'll turn on. Here we go. So there's little grey areas. These are the individual buildings taken from a aerial photo. We've got energy maps for historical. I'm going to turn that one off for now. We'll see how we go for time. But you can have a turu there if you open that one. The Japan, Chile, just turn one on at a time and zoom out to that area. I'm going to turn them off for now. Recent earthquakes I want on, and there's my aerial photos. Good, but not quite what I'm after. It's still a bit hard to use because I've got solid blocks of color there. So tsunami evac zones, I want to make this one a bit transparent so I can see through it. And Māori land blocks, I don't want them to be blue. I want to change the whole visualization of them. I want to change them to different color. I want them to have a sort of a very pale, dark red shadow, fill, and then the outline, so that I can easily recognize them as a Māori land block. And I can fiddle with the transparency. So I can just have the outlines if I want, but I just want a little bit of fill, just so that I can see that that's where the block is. And then I go save. And I can actually put some labels on. Let's just put some labels on. How are we going for time? Yep, we're good. Okay, let's label based on block name. And I come down here and I want to change those kind of grayed out labels to something that I want a bit better. Let's go for a white label with a dark red outline to match kind of the visualization for the block. And also let's change the font, because Arial is kind of plain. Plain is fine. Avenir is a nice font. I'm going to go regular. There we go. Took me a minute to find it. And hopefully it's applied it. And I also don't want all the labels to come on all the time. So as I zoom out, I want the labels to turn off about there. So I'm going to turn them, watch this when I slide past. See that? So that it's not too noisy. There we go. So when I zoom in a fraction, those labels will come back on. There we go. Close that. Zoom out a bit. And press save. And if you want to refresh, that will now show on your map. Let's see, what else were we going to do here? Building outlines, marae, blocks we've got, earthquakes we've got, imagery we've got. And so now what I can do is I can do some things, and I can have a look here or anywhere else that might be affected. But I think this is a good little study area. So kia ora anybody who is out there. Pata here from Winnie, restricted airspace. Yes, I believe there is. Let's see if we can find this. Arctis Online. So different strategies for searching. I'm going to start with CAA NZ, see what's there. NZ controlled airspace, aerodromes. So what I'm looking for here is whose source am I going to use that's most likely. So Eagle GIS, where did I see that? Oh no, here, NZ EMGeo. So just from experience, I know that there's an emergency management, New Zealand Emergency Management GIS group. And so just because I know that I'm not part of it, but I know that it exists, and I'm thinking, okay, those guys are probably not bad in terms of their data. But the thing is, it's not coming from civil aviation. So you've always got to have that, if you're going to do a flight plan, for example, you wouldn't trust that this is the most up-to-date data. Because you can see there, 2019 is when this data set was done. And it's a prototype, so they're just having a tutu, making it available for us. We can also add, and we can see there, if we zoom out a bit, we can see there must be an aerodrome or something just under there. If we zoom out a bit more, we'll see there'll be more bits and blobs, and here's Wellington Airport, and there'll be Napier here as well. So if you can think of it, and the trick is if it exists, not always. So someone was recently asking me about forestry, if we wanted to know about pine forests, for example. So we could go here, and there's USA forest type. We come here, this little button, and we just go only show the map content of this area, because that's all we're concerned about. How did that apply? And you'll see that USA one that was on first, it's gone. But now there are others that are global. So then I might go Forest NZ and see what's there. Probably the answer to the forestry question is going to be land cover land cover data set, and in that other document we got haere/kite. If we go in here, land cover NZ, New Zealand land cover database, updated March, hopefully 23. So if I turn this on, you watch this. All of these things come in. Low producing grassland, flaxland, fernland, gorse broom, manuka, kanuka. So if we're looking for pine trees, the closest we have is exotic forest. And let's say, for example, because I think this is all relevant to what we're doing, I'm just going to figure something out here. How do I do a query on analysis, sketch, and tools? This one, third one down, didn't look high enough. So I'm going to do a query on that layer to only show exotic forestry, which includes Douglas fir, Pinus radiata, other things. I can go in here and I can see that there are multiple dates. So I can go from 2018, so 2012, so there probably is not far away for a new data set. So I go this one. 2018 is exotic. Oh, it's just worked by itself. Magic. I hadn't actually done this before. So I can see that there are 97,000 polygons, and there's those little green blobs there. So if I go now save, and there's my green blobs, and if I go save here, and if you refresh now on your side, you'll be able to go in there and see where those are. But another thing is that then that'll be covering, it's a polygon at the top, we want point line polygon coming down. So I'm going to put this one below the earthquakes, just because it's just for reference. And then I'm going to click on it and say, go in here to the style. And I'm going to tell it, right, this one here. I want to make it a bit more transparent so I can see through it. But just for time, I'm just going to leave it as that. So now if I go File, Save, and I want to have a look at the buildings. Which buildings are probably going to have to be evacuated, but that we can't just get, call up Bob and get him to fly the helicopter there to pick him up, because it's in that airspace, but it is also in the tsunami zone. But we want to be able to see those building outlines more easily. So see how controlled airspace is above the buildings? If I bring those down here, now the buildings are on top, but the buildings are actually quite hard to see. So I'm going to change the color there as well. I'm going to go into style options and I'm going to say, make the buildings kind of dark. There we go, you can see them better now already. And dark there. Go, okay, done, done, done. And if I press save, now you can go in there and refresh your map and you'll be able to see that as well. So if we wanted to know how many buildings are there in this area, which we can actually use as a proxy for people. So with the 2018 census, of course, there were some issues with Māori and being counted, which they did do some workarounds for with other data, but you can't hide the buildings, and the buildings are just captured by computer. So you can kind of infer population density somewhat, or I'm not going to go into that too much because Tania's going to kind of do that. But I can see there are more buildings, therefore more people. There's a few buildings there, or this might be somebody I know that I need to have called them this morning. We need to arrange some transport. We need to get them out of this area here for either flooding or for a tsunami or for other purposes. I think that is about where I was going to get to. So one last thing I wanted to show you is, I'll just press save again so you can see that map there. It's not far from this one here. This one I've added some cool little icons for marae, which is quite easy, but those of you who have a tutu, you just click on there, click on here, come into this pencil, and this is recorded, remember, so you can watch it again. Basic point, change the symbol, come on out of there. I want this as a symbol. So what I went and did is I just did a quick Google search for, let's do that, we're good for time, a couple of minutes, you're right, Tania? If I go over here, marae icon, I'm going to grab this one, or something similar. What I need, I think that's the one I might have grabbed before. What I need is a marae icon or any icon that is a PNG, which is a type of picture that has a transparent background. So this one I think will work. Just going to go save as PNG image. There we go. And there's the other one I saved, downloads. And get rid of that now. This is just an extra bonus. There we go. Add that in there. Go done. And if we go and have a look where our marae is, we can see there's one here. It's got this nice little picture. We want to make that a little bit bigger. But you can also get pictures that you've drawn or that you've had friends or whānau draw, and you can scan them in. You just find some web service that turns them into a PNG with a transparent background or as a circle. And then when you click on them, if we see here, we've clicked on, there are 5 things there. Here's the land block. Here's the marae. What's this one? This is the tsunami warning zone. Here's an earthquake polygon and another earthquake, because there were 2 right next door to each other. So that's kind of, if you think of it as a pizza, we've got all these layers and we've just drilled down through, at that point, what's there. And so that little button there is how you do that. Let's come out again. So this map is nice, but for someone who is in a, on a kitchen table, trying to organize some transport or something like that, you see I've made that icon a bit too big now. This is not the most intuitive map to use, so we're going to try and make this a bit easier to use. So just before we do, I'm going to press save. So I've pressed save 50 times, which been burnt too many times through when Chrome has crashed or something else. Okay, so now I'm going to share it, make sure that it's public. Yes, it is. That's so you can access it. And I'm going to come down here and I'm just very quickly show you this. Go create an instant app, and you can do this with a free Esri account, free Esri personal account, which is what I'm using. And it's basically wizard driven. So I've created my map and now I want to publish it, present it to other people. So rather than just giving them the map that I've done, as you've been looking at, I want to give them something a bit more polished. Because now I've done that work, that mahi, I want to do, because I prefer the sidebar, it's a nice generic map viewer for a variety of different things. I go choose, Ngā Taumata Whenua map example 2, create the app. And what's it doing? It's just taking a minute. So this is a wizard-driven app builder. So step 1 is choose the map. Step 2 is put some information. 3 is what do you want on the sidebar. 4 is the interaction. And 5 is what theme do you want. So I want people to be able to turn layers on and off in here. So step 1, that map. Next. The name at the top. Ngā Taumata Whenua Porangahau example. And I can have an introduction panel if I want, which pops up like this, but that's just one step too far from today. Let's go next. Legend, I want a legend. So that's what this is here. I can scroll through and I can see all of these things, and what do they mean. Turn on the layer list, that adds another one here. So that means I can turn things on and off, like this one. And go next. Search, I want it to be open at the start. Yep, that's fine. Next. And I want the dark theme or the light theme. I prefer the dark theme, or you can pick other themes. They are the color ones. You can go crazy. But you can align it to a brand, or a, if you have a logo, you can add a logo in there as well. So now I'm just going to go publish. It's saying, okay, commit all those changes. It's basically the same as pressing save and the map we just made. It's been published. Copy the link, but only I have access at the moment. So I have to deliberately give you access before you can see anything that I've got here. So I've got to go on share, and I've got to go change share settings. So at the moment it's just me. Or if I've got a non-profit account for my hapu, then I could go organization, and anyone who has a login in that hapu, they will have access to it, but still you don't. Now when I press public, this means you'll be able to see this, and I go save. And it'll say, hey, what about all these other things? And it just sorts it all out for me. It's great. Being updated. Let's say I decided I want to just zoom out a little. And then go publish, confirm. So I've done publish twice. I probably only needed to do it once. But the reason I pressed it twice is because I want to grab this link again. So now if I go in a logged out session, just to check it before I give it to you, this should load up with no issues, because I've made the map public that you've already had access to, and now the web map, the web app. So there's a web app that we've created. No code, nothing hard, nothing you can't do by watching the video a couple of times and just following along. There's where they're about, that splash. So you could, this map is created blah, 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 for this purpose. And over here is turning things on and off. Get your pie? All right, I'm going to stop yapping, and I'm going to hand over to you, Tania. If you can just unmute, and I'll stop sharing. And any partai, feel free to put them on the chat. See there one from Thomas. I'll just reply to you on there. And for those of you, actually, I'll just answer that one now. Just if you can just unmute Tania. The non-profit, so there's Roland Pornamana, who many of you will know from Ngā Poutama Mata Whenua last year. He came every single time, but he's got a new role at Eagle Technology as their non-profit coordinator, their facilitator. So I will track down his details, but I'll put a link in the chat for you as well of how to access that. So hopefully I've stopped. No, now I'm going to stop sharing screen. So Tania, over to you, Ahua. And Tania's going to show us some more stuff.
Kia ora, Duane. So I'm going to show, hopefully if I can get it on screen. So I'm just going to show some of our, demographic information that is available, just using the census 2018 data, and hopefully everyone can see this. I'm being totally biased, and I'm looking at the hokianga and my marae. Right, so what I'm really interested in is looking at how many people we have in the area, where our elderly whānau might be, just those sort of demographics, and how we could use that for our marae emergency planning. Right, so the first thing I do is I'm going to go back to ArcGIS Online, and I'm going to search for census 2018. And I'm actually not going to use a layer that Stats has created. I'm going to use this layer here from Eagle Technology. So what they've done is they have grabbed their 2018 census data and also joined the deprivation index to it, so to the statistical area 1 data. So as Duane showed before, I'm just going to add this layer to my map. And so as you'll see, I'm actually going to switch it. So I'll just turn that layer off. So as you see, it already has symbology added to it. And at the moment, it's actually showing population density. So the way I can see this is if I switch from properties to styles, and it's set to custom, and if I click on this, I can see that there's already a query there that I've set to population density. So right now it's a little bit bland, but I can go through. So I've got my marae here. So I can actually go through and change this color. So if I go into style options, currently it's counts and amounts color. And I can change this to this color ramp here. And it's done. And then as you can see, got more of a dense population here next to the coast, and as Duane said, the buildings are a really, really good indication. And we can also click on here and go to the layer itself. So you notice with these pop-ups as well, when you click on something, if you have other layers on, it also picks it up. So you can use these little arrows here to switch between those layers. So I've just switched to my SA1 bipolar forest, and you can see the population density number. And you can also see the usual resident population, as well as other variables. So yeah, this can be a good way in planning just to see where like your densely populated areas are. Another thing I might want to look at is I want to know where our elderly whānau are or our disabled whānau are. So I want to change the variable that I'm looking at. The way we can do this is I'm going to get rid of this custom query. So I'm still in styles. I remove this custom query under attributes. It will remove that. I go to field, and you can actually also search fields as well. So I'm going to go usual resident population age group 65 years and over. Click on that. There's the tick. I click add. And I don't really want to use counts and amount size. I would like to go back to counts and amounts color so I can kind of get that color ramp again. And then I go into style options, and this time I want to, because it's counts, I kind of want to classify that data. I'm going to leave it as natural breaks. I'm going to change that color ramp again. Click done, close that. Click done. Okay, so that there can give us an idea of where our elderly whānau are located. So we can start using this just as a general thing to think, okay, maybe how many vans and stuff will we need to go and pick up our elderly whānau in case of natural disaster like a tsunami. We can be focused and concentrate those resources. Maybe how many people, how many elderly whānau we will need to accommodate for at our marae in case of an emergency. So yeah, this can be a really, really great way to just kind of get a general overview of where our people are and how many resources we might need to allocate in case of an emergency. So yeah, that is me, because I'm running out of time.
Nice one.
So thanks so much. Thank you.
Bye.